So that case against the three men accused of rogue activity postponed until mid-June. The investigation has been questioned, though, by critics. They say it's been used as a political ploy. You heard there some saying against the former SARS Commissioner, Pravin Gordhan. To discuss, we're joined by Werksmans Attorney Director Bernard Hotz, who's representing those three men accused. Thank you for being with us. So they categorically deny the claims against them.
Yes, look, it's not appropriate to pre-try a matter. The matter is obviously before the courts. The evidence will be heard in due course. But what my clients can say at this moment in time is that they're troubled by the fact that they've been hauled before court after so many years pursuant to a charge that was opened in 2015 by Mr. Moyane. We're aware of what happened in 2016 with the aborted prosecution against Messrs. Gordhan, Pillay and Magashula, where exculpatory evidence simply wasn't drawn to the NPA's attention until after they had already initiated the prosecution. So my clients are saying, and they said this in court through the mouthpiece of their advocate, Advocate Hotz, who represented them, they have nothing to hide. They have faith in the judiciary. But they insist upon proper procedures being followed. They insist upon a proper opportunity being given to them to place representations before the authorities so that there can be a proper consideration as to whether or not this is a matter that should really be prosecuted.
Do they deny bugging the officers? Because that seems to be the central claim now of the National Prosecuting Authority in 2007. Or do they say if they were doing it, it was in their legal, that they were acting legally as part of that SARS investigative unit?
It's a nice try, but unfortunately it would be inappropriate.
If you're going to court saying we're innocent?
Because as an attorney, it's imperative that we respect the legal process. It's not appropriate to ventilate matters prior to or in any forum other than in the court.
But we have judges who are meant to be impartial and fair. They don't watch the media. We don't really take the sub judice rules seriously at all.
Yes, but as a responsible attorney, and my clients are gentlemen who are gentlemen of integrity, they feel very aggrieved and humiliated that they were called upon to appear in court today. And in fact, as one saw from what happened in court today, the state summoned them to court. The state extraordinarily wanted to insist upon bail being a prerequisite to their release. The presiding magistrate was having nothing of it. She acceded to the arguments put forward by our counsel, and she said on the basis that the NPA elected to summons them to court, and based upon the fact that they were most certainly not flight risks. In fact, two of them had returned from being out of the Republic specifically to attend court today. She saw absolutely no reason why they shouldn't be released on their own recognizance.
I understand all of this. If I were your clients, I would love to use this opportunity to speak to the public who are confused. And there's also the court of public opinion. Can you tell us or not whether they were involved in dodgy things when they were part of that SARS unit? What were they up to? What's this all about?
Without going into the devil in the details, suffice it to say that my clients maintain their innocence. They believe that it is incumbent upon them to have respect for the judicial system and for the legal system. They intend to prove their innocence. They intend to rely upon the evidence which they have at their disposal. And one of the issues that will be traversed and was traversed in court is that they require to have an opportunity to have access to the police docket, which is something that the state have agreed to give them by no later than the 20th of April. The state have said that according to their recollection, it may consist of 3 or 4 or 5 lever arch files. In addition to that, they have invited my clients to engage with SARS, because my clients say that when they left SARS, there is a lot of evidence which they require, which is at SARS, and the state have said, I, as their attorney, am at liberty to request SARS to provide such information. So what will happen is that evidence will be collated and it will be presented at the appropriate time to support my client's maintenance of their innocence of these charges.
Okay, and in the meantime, we're all a bit confused because there were these serious claims of a rogue unit, and a lot of that reporting was actually discredited. I'm left wondering, why would the NPA be pursuing this unless it has real evidence? It seems mad to pursue it otherwise. Do you agree?
One may have asked the exact same question when Mr. Abrams announced the prosecution of Messrs. Gordhan, Pillay and Magashule.
Given human nature, you would think whenever there's a secretive, powerful unit, there are going to be abuses. So they're saying there was absolutely no abuse.
I think one has to distinguish between two concepts. Firstly, the establishment of the unit itself is entirely and was entirely lawful. The law supports it and the evidence will show it. That's not to say that once a unit has been lawfully established, that somebody may at any time do something that could be, in inverted commas, considered to be roguish, unlawful. That does not invalidate or render unlawful the establishment of the unit as a start. So I think that's an important thing to take on board, that the establishment of the unit itself was entirely lawful at the time.
You've mentioned Pravin Gordhan. Some people thought he was being politically targeted. Are you going to use that argument at all? There were rumours that Pillay would become possibly a deputy SARS Commissioner, and this is an attempt to move him out the way.
It is rather disturbing that these charges come at this particular time. I think it's a common belief that if one has faith in what's called the new dawn, that one of the most important institutions which has to be restored to its former glory for the purposes of the well-being of our economy is none other than SARS. It's also very interesting to note that from the list of witnesses who've been affixed to the indictment that was served on my clients today, the witnesses range from Mr. Moyani, Mr. Makwakwa, to Mr. Trevor Manuel, to Mr. Vusi Piccoli, to Mr. Menzi Simelani. And one sits back and says, why? What is going on? What is behind all of this? It's rather intriguing.
All right, well, we will follow that case. Thank you very much. That was Bernard Hotz, lawyer for the trio implicated in the so-called SARS rogue unit activity. Bongani?